If you build custom rods, word will eventually get out and somebody that has a damaged rod guide will ask you to repair theirs. And of course, to replace a guide, you've got to get the old one off first. Here's a quick and simple way to do this. Keep in mind there's really two types of popular finishes on the market today, both in the commercial end of things and the custom ends of things. You're going to either be dealing with a two-part epoxy or a UV cured type coating. The epoxies are a little softer, fairly easy to get off. The UV types are much more hard and brittle and require a little more work. But this technique will work for both, the latter being just a little bit more difficult to get off because it comes off in pieces rather than in peelings. Let's take a look. What I'm going to do, I want to save my white trim wrap. I'm going to lay my razor blade right on the edge of this, and I'm going to make a very, very, very light scribing cut into the epoxy. I'm not going through all the way to the thread. And once we've done that, now we take our razor blade. I'm going to shave the finish and the thread off the top of the guide foot. I am not going to cut into the rod blank. I'm simply cutting along the top of the guide foot. Now from there, if you're lucky, you can use a thumbnail. You might have to use the corner of the razor blade. Again, you do not want to cut into the rod blank. And once we've done that, it becomes a matter of peeling off the finish. If you're lucky, you can grab hold of an end, and you might actually get a thread and just unwind it. Larger chunks will come off, as you see here. It can require a little bit of effort, but it's not a terrible amount of work. And then from there, we try to get that free into the thread, and we got lucky here. And when we get to the edge of our trim wrap, that worked just as I planned. That scoring cut left this and the finish over it intact. We can then snap the guide off what's left here. And again, be very careful. You do not want to cut into the rod blank. Anything you do should be a shaving motion. We can lightly shave that bit of epoxy off. From there, with a fingernail or a sharp but softer instrument, you can tend to work some of the pieces of leftover epoxy off. I use the back of a razor blade quite often. Just be careful. This won't damage your rod blank, and it will tend to get any pieces or portions that are still stuck to the blank. Again, it's okay to use the blade to skim this down. Just don't cut into the rod blank. Essentially, if we were going to replace that guide with another similar guide, we'd be ready to go now. You may want to change the guide. The new guide may have a different footprint, anything like that. You might want to take and lightly sand this. You do not want to sand into the fibers, but you might want to sand off some of the excess epoxy. Be very careful about using heat. I know a lot of people recommend that, but the resins that hold these planks together, once you get above about 225 to 250 degrees, you are in danger of compromising the resins that hold these carbon fibers together. Those resins are not like hot melt cement. Once you undermine them, that's it. They don't reflow and readhere. They're done. If you can do this without heat, just as we did here, that's what I'd recommend. Okay, it's as easy as that.